Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And my other car is also a car. But last night we did a live stream and we went in on the Masalong KNI245. Now, let's take a look at what I'm holding real quick. Get that out of the way. First things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. The frame is titanium coated steel. That's a weird beast we'll talk about in a second. And we got a flipper tab, so let's flick the bean. And we got a 2.95 inch 7CR17 MOV blade. Now, if you didn't catch the first video on this, when we bought this thing, it was $9.99, and we thought it was a titanium knife. That's what the listing kind of led us to believe. It was a very confusing mess. The retail on it was quoted as $29.99, and it was marked down to $9.99. Now, that made it believable for titanium, possibly because I'd gotten titanium for $27 on the Olatan's T025 and like $35 on the Monocala Assault Team 1. Both of those have gone up in price since then, but no. So the listing said titanium in one place, titanium bonded steel in another. That's like steel bonded titanium somewhere else. It was a mess. And so I ordered this thing, it came in, and we'd figured out it was steel with this titanium coating on it, which I don't understand why, I don't get it. But, you know, my conclusion was for $9.99, it's okay. For anything more than that, no. The price has gone up to $16.99 now, which is about $7 too much, but that's besides the besides. We do have a full flat grind on here, which I do like. And so we started the live stream, and we got an hour and a half out of the 7CR17 on the factory edge before it was just wadding the cardboard up, tearing it, and rolling it as often as it was cutting. That seems to be the most reliable indicator for edge wear right now until I can afford to get one of those sharpness testers the Best makes. Because, like, it'll be really difficult to cut cardboard, and the cuts will start getting nastier and nastier and nastier, and it's still doing the cut test on the paper. So I'm learning this stuff as I go, and that's been confusing and made it harder to pin down the information that I want. So we're kind of just going in here with a, very rudimentary knowledge. After that hour and a half, though, because it got so worn out, group conscience decided that we break out the sharpener and we put an 18-degree edge on it. So we did that, and the stream lasted about another hour after that, give or take, before everybody decided, they needed to go rest or do something else. So I decided to wrap it up after 3 hours instead of the usual 4+. But, after another hour of cutting, it's still doing the paper test. However, the primary edge right here where it was making the most contact with the cardboard is showing its wear. That's a little bit more wear than other steels we've done after an hour. Like, if you catch it just right, it still does this, which is part of why it's confusing to tell how much it's worn from the paper. Like, it was still cutting fairly cleanly. That was not that long of a session, but still, there is some wear there, and it's 7CR17, so, or at least it claims to be 7CR17 at 59 HRC, so, that's to be expected, and you can kind of tell here, instead of being a nice, clean, fast cut, you got the edge of this rolled up a little bit, indicating some wear. So, it did about what we expected 7CR17 to do. Whenever I went in on this, I said hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes. It's supposedly a step down from 8CR, from what I understand. There's like not chromium, but there's vanadium in there, and the chromium's supposed to help with abrasion resistance, edge wear, stuff like that. So that's part of why it did what it did, but that's coming off information from the guys in the stream. Some of y'all are going to know more than I do right away. One of the other big problems on this thing was ergonomics. Like, I thought they'd be all right, but this part of my hand, or this right here on this full whange and this right here were both just lit up after about the first, 45 minutes or so. This right here, of course, chewed it up like usual, but this right here, hard 90 degrees, no chamfer, nothing broken down. They are quite sharp, especially when they're in your hand like this and you're pushing real hard. So I end up having to move my grip back a little bit further and hold it different to keep this from tearing me to pieces. That kind of just sucked. And I figured that might be a problem. The ergonomics, when I did the first video, they looked okay. It'd probably be all right for a live stream, but the other part of my conjecture, having done this for a few weeks now, is this was going to be a rough ride. Especially once I got it in hand and did the first few cuts, because on that factory edge, it took a lot of pressure to get a lot of cuts done. It's not as bad as other knives have been, but it was still a pretty rough ride. And it's, again, $16.99. That's like $7 too much. We have dominated this thing at the $8 price point, and it's been dominated at the $10 price point because, we had the Duratec liner lock here. Somewhere I've got the, oh yeah, it went back in the box. The Harbor Freight Gordon GK23. Absolutely dominated it. Like, this thing, quite dominating performance, and especially comfort in hand, build quality, everything so much better than this. Like, I could not recommend buying this unless you're just desperate for this knife specifically. One of the other problems I ran into carrying it was this pocket clip. Like, this thing is just laying way too flat here to make it sane or easy to get into a waistband or the hem of a pocket. It locks in nicely, but like, that is a tiny dingus end and it's laying really flat, so it doesn't like being carried, like, at all. And the lack of deep carry is not the end of the world. If it's not the deepest carry, you got something to grab onto when you're pulling it out of your pocket, waistband, wherever you're carrying it. But this pocket clip could have been a lot better. So, I mean, this is kind of a close but no cigar, swing and a miss. I genuinely wanted to like this thing quite a bit because, again, like, I love finding a good, cheap knife that, surpasses expectations, a real diamond in the rough. This one ain't it. Like, it is close, but it ain't there. It did not get over the hump. And, that's all right. We're doing this to learn this stuff, and, it is what it is. It was still a fun live stream. We still learned some things. We laughed. We cried. All that is good. But yeah, this was definitely just not a winner. And, it's not the worst that we've had. It's not the worst ergonomics we've had. It's not the worst edge wear we've had, but it's still pretty bad. And again, like, we all expected the 7CR17 to not do that good, and of course it didn't do that good. But, it's not a Hall of Shame knife. At some point, I am going to put together the Hall of Shame once I get some more information on more knives, let y'all have that video. This might not be Hall of Shame, but it's still definitely far from the best, and it's definitely far from, comparable to the other stuff that I've got in the same price range. So, if you have this on your wish list from earlier streams where we thought it was titanium and it turned out it wasn't, don't get it. Spend that $10 somewhere else on a much better knife. But, you guys know I like sharing the aftermath videos with you and letting you know what happened with these. That's what happened with this one. And all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. You keep coming in. I am very, very grateful for it. Thank you so much. Comments, I love some feedback. If you did buy this, let me know how it does for you. Or what do you think about what we're looking at here, or anything else. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.